Hey guys, it's Rashcroft with Political Simulators Unite with episode 4 in the China Mao's Legacy playthrough. We left off on January 8th, 1980. We're going to be continuing on from there. We have the game loaded up and we're going to get right into it. So, honestly, not too happy with where things are at the moment. As you can see, we've got a number of wars not going our way, although there is one that appears to be going our way, the one in Afghanistan. The political situation is this some supporters, some folks not too happy with us, but we can deal with that. Doctrines, we've made a few changes here. Science, still need to see some progression there. Um, and on the economy, haven't seen much growth there, and that's honestly been kind of disappointing. But we're going to tough this thing out. We're going to keep it going. Yep. What do you know? Conspiracy. Let's do the event first. Difficult neighborhood. From the very beginning of anti government demonstrations in Afghanistan and the response of the DRA government, many Islamic radicals, terrorists, and priests fled to Pakistan, where they teamed up with their local colleagues. Subsequently, after the start of armed riots in Afghanistan, refugees flowed into Pakistan, who were awaited by Islamic terrorist organizations that had formed there. Pakistan itself does not take special measures in relation to them beyond the usual. It seems that Bhutto has enough problems there, but it may be worthwhile to provide him with undercover assistance in order to stop such outrages. On the other hand, the United States is very interested in the possibility of helping the Afghan rebels through Pakistan, and if Bhutto cannot agree with the United States in any way, then he could with us. By transporting American weapons and advisors through Pakistan, we could cut money from Americans and strike at the Soviet social imperialism. So that's the situation. Here's the different choices we have. Let Pakistan handle it by himself, or Bhutto. Send Pakistan assistance to patrol the border and catch the Islamists. Negotiate with the USA. Our relations are not good with them right now. I think we should send Pakistan assistance to patrol the border. Okay, and the result transparently hinting to Bhutto that it was time to stop the terrorist rampant on the border and sending him our agents and military to help. We in Pakistan began operations to patrol the border and track down radical Islamist groups. I must say that it was crowned with success. The Islamists did not expect such a harsh reaction from Pakistan, and were caught almost by surprise. The rest are in hiding, and now cannot work with the same efficiency. Good luck in digging tunnels under the border. All right, so looks like we've stopped some influence, some Islamist influence in Afghanistan. Let's take a look, see how that impacted anything. All right, well, not too much there. Okay, so we got this conspiracy we got to deal with. All right, so let's see. Jeez. Some money, very few officers. I don't think we can do anything. We may just have to ride this thing out. Another event. Goodbye, our sweet Mishka. Comrade Chairman. On July 19th, 1980, the opening of the 22nd Summer Olympic Games will take place in Moscow. The Soviet Union struggled to secure the right to host the Olympics and spent enormous funds on its preparation, which had to be withdrawn from other expense items. A large-scale campaign was held to sell Olympic symbols for cost recovery. However, the U.S. leadership has openly declared a boycott of these games and called on its allies for this. All right, so USA is boycotting the Olympics. A number of party members urged us to follow the American example and boycott the Soviet games by sending a team to the American ones. However, this will arouse the anger of the USSR and the misunderstanding of the people. Maybe you should not exacerbate the split and send our athletes to Moscow. If I remember correctly, this event requires some spending of money here. Okay, so should we send a team to the Soviet Olympic Games, yes or no? Um, okay. Here are our choices. Let's declare a boycott, but let our athletes go to Moscow under the Olympic flag. We declare a boycott to the Soviet Games and send a team to the USA. I'm not a big fan of either of those. But again, based on choices I've made previously, this is kind of where I'm at. I guess just for money's sake, and this is really a minor thing, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's go that route. So our relations with the Soviet Union took a 10-point hit. And here's the result. China joined the American boycott of the Olympic Games in Moscow, although not without hesitation. So on and so forth. Okay. So at the closing ceremony, instead of the flag of the United States, the flag of the city of Los Angeles was hoisted, which hinted that the USSR would recall this boycott. Ooh. So um, we basically traded 10 points of relations with the Soviet Union with the Americans. Actually, it's probably not a bad trade. So that, I think, is all right. We still got this stupid conspiracy. All right. We got to go to deal with our negative amount on the budget. Support of the party, low. Support of the people's relatively high. You know what? Let's cut it out of propaganda. That'll probably work best. All right. Oh, and the conspiracy went away. Interesting. Another event, another gang. Okay, so thanks to our efforts, we were able to put an end to the remnants of the Cultural Revolution, and the country is heading towards a bright market future. However, there are still those who might disagree with such a development of events, and with all their might protest against the conduct of such a policy, disrupting good reforming initiatives. These are predominantly conservative Maoists, headed by 4 top party members. All right, so we got some conservative Maoists. Consolidate our power. It will be possible to promote active supporters of reforms that have gained popularity among the people and their wards. Well, that's a pain. Only choice is to do nothing. A plague of democracy. Yes. Conservatives continue to hold their posts, undermining your reforms. I mean, come on. I'm the chairman of the Communist Party in China. I should be able to throw people all over the place. But, anyways. Well, negative on the budget. We got to get some money in that budget. And boom, there's our conspiracy. Oh, now we're actually having to deal with it. Okay, so now it apparently is boiled over. Um, Senior party members who are dissatisfied with your role have agreed to remove you at the next Congress of the Central Committee. You need to urgently do something if you do not want to repeat the fate of the revisionist Khrushchev in 1964. Special services will not support us. That's not good. We don't call the loyal officers. Jeez, people do not need another cultural revolution. So we get 2 choices. Basically, getting up and speaking at the Congress to win people over. Call the loyal officers. I think that's our only choice. Even before the start of the Congress, the officers loyal to you overwhelmed the conspirators who had arrived and at gunpoint took them to military jails. At the Congress, in the presence of armed soldiers, you criticized them in absentia, which was supported by the delegates. But it's not so easy to get rid of high party members. Yes. All right. Wow, minor change. We gotta get some money. That's what's going on. I don't want to. Okay, let's just go. Conspiracy's back. Oh, now it's gone. Agent networks. Budget's coming up. All right, so let's try to make some moves here. Mr. Xiaoping. Okay, so look at the left radicals hate my guts now. And I've tried stacking the deck with reformers. I think I'm going to have to go back to moderates. Just because I guess my policies just are not reformer enough. So, look at our army power. Jeez. Gotta bump that up, man. Alright, so we got industry. That's gone up a bit. It's good. Services. Yeah, standard of living's okay. Welfare. Corruption's growing. I hate that. I hate corruption growing. If only I could rule with an iron fist. All right. So, just kind of looking at the situation here. Wars. This thing's been going on forever. You know, we just pumped money into the military. Let's hang on for a minute and just see what we can do here. The end of Zimbabwe apartheid in Rhodesia, also known as Zimbabwe, where the armed struggle of the black majority against the white authorities pursuing a policy of racial segregation has been going on for many years. It seems there may have been a turn in politics. In '79, the Lancaster House Conference was held, at which agreement was reached on holding general equal elections, subject to ceasefire and the formal proclamation of Zimbabwe Rhodesia by the British colony until further determination of its fate. As a result, the Left Nationalist Coalition, headed by these guys and Mr. Mugabe, won the elections. Okay. All right, so now Mugabe's the leader in Zimbabwe. Well, now renamed Zimbabwe. We supported the more moderate guys, and they are the current allies, so might it worth be continuing cooperation with the victorious left parties? We can be friends with them later. Okay, no money. Apparently that was the issue on that. All right, I'm going to take a look at some of these options we have. No, I don't want to start an operation. I can't, even if I want to. We've got to get... Okay, so that's a question I have to everybody out there. I've noticed on here that the agent networks, I'm in the negative, and I'm curious as to why that is. I'm going to bump up funding here to the MSS, and I'm going to see how that impacts things. But if anybody has an answer for that, I'd be very much interested in knowing what it is. Another event. Tito's gone. On January 3rd, the founder and long-term leader of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, chairman of the Central Committee of Union of Communists of Yugoslavia, Marshal Josip Broz Tito, I'm doing my best, was hospitalized at the clinical center. Okay, I'm not going to read that. All right, so Tito was one of the heroes of the anti-fascist war. Okay, so here the bottom line is this. If we send a delegation, we may well push them away from us. Albanians have told us they will never stop criticizing Tito. Okay. All right, we're going to send a delegation. We're not going to go ourselves and see what happens. Okay. A bunch of people showed up. New leadership showed interest in restoring relations, but Comrade Mr. This person refused to conduct any negotiations, citing his lack of proper powers. Okay, well that's nice. That was for naught. I actually am right above the requirement there to get a diplomatic agreement with these guys, a friendship agreement. Alright. Well, missed an opportunity there. Let's check the wars before I do that. Whoops. Sorry, guys. Just trying to find this particular screen here. I don't know why it's failing me. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Army power. Okay. Ooh, change in power in Guinea. Our diplomatic reputation is incredibly high. And I don't think I've towed the line that hard. Agent network's down big time. Even though it's showing a plus 0.4 increase. And it's still, or I must be reading that wrong. Yeah. Alright, rising Guangxi. After the coup in 1979, seized power in South Korea became a merciless suppression of protesters against the military regime. Martial law was introduced May 18th. The student organization, demonstration against the closure. Okay, so they got shot up. The data, the government is preparing to seize what the students have taken over with the regular army by supporting the rebels so they can last longer. Are you serious? Okay. Alright, so what we're talking about, well, we're not talking about anything. We're going to have to let them deal with it by themselves. Alright. So, South Koreans retook the city, or the university region. You know what? Okay, so we got some money now. We better start making some decisions here. So, I really do not like that situation. I don't like that either. Man, that's gone way up. Okay, here I think we've begun, folks, the downward spiral. One of the things I've noticed about this game that you kind of get to a point where you reach a situation where you've kind of put yourself in a box and it's very hard to get out of. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut funding to agriculture, cut funding to state mechanism. I'm just hitting the stuff that's it seems a little too high. Industry, I want that to continue to grow. Army, it's growing. Our debt's still going down. Okay. But corruption's now doubling. It was at plus 0.4, now it's plus 0.8. So yeah, got some problems there. You know what? Let's drop some dollars. Well, not dollars. Let's drop some money into science. I think that's a worthwhile thing. Let's look at our doctrines. Okay, so we got 45 moderate, 46 reformers, left radicals 3%, conservatives 5%. I think we need to kind of move. Yeah. We need to move in a more democratic direction. Phew, that's up even more. All right. The Iran-Iraq War. Relations between Iran and Iraq have been strained for a long time. All right, so we know what happens. War is hell. Okay. Yeah, that's in that particular war, Iran is on the outs with the rest of the world, most of the world community. Iraq gets heavily subsidized. Not, I shouldn't say subsidized, but they're given much more support. I'm just talking history here. And I think it might have something to do with, this is just me thinking out loud, guys, might have something to do with why Saddam acted as confidently as he did when he invaded Kuwait. All right, so we lost the Cambodian-Vietnamese War. That's ended. Long live the peace. So as you can see there, Cambodia is now fully in the Soviet Union camp. We've already got close partner with Laos. Start in-depth trading. We've already done that as well. We don't have the economic union. Let's take a look. Oh, that's right. Sorry, guys. I forgot. My mistake. It cost some money. I think that's what we need to do. We need to look into doing that. Poland has not died yet. Okay, alarming news from Warsaw. Okay. The country is now in the hardest political and economic crisis, united with the help of the CIA anti-socialist opposition, headed by the so-called independent self-governing trade union Solidarity. For almost a year now, has been organizing mass strikes, rallies, and processions. The tremendous national debt, almost 40 billion, accumulated under the previous leadership of the country. The PPR is unable to pay. The situation is clearly out of control. USSR is already seriously beginning to consider the option of armed intervention, which they're so good at, or they were so good at. Okay, however, this will cause So we have the option to intervene and take advantage of the current leader's indecisiveness, um, and to ensure nationally oriented forces. Let's see, led by these two folks come to power. All right, let's see what our options are before we get too carried away. And we don't even have any options. Yeah, we're going down. We're in the spiral. Okay, so we now have no. In Poland, as you can see now, they've gone the authoritarian route. They're influenced by the USSR, although that probably won't be for much longer. Okay, they're kind of breaking from the socialist camp. This is frustrating. Agent networks. I just dropped some money into it. I'm just assuming the conditions I've created are not ripe. Let's check the wars again. You know, no intervention points. Our influence was shot to hell. That's the problem. Alright, science, before we take on the events. So we just completed that one. The full industry rearmament. I believe that was okay. Re-equipment. Alright, we can go to agriculture. Agriculture is growing just fine. I think we need to do more industry. Or, yeah, leave the military alone. Okay, machines modification. Yeah. Wait, what am I doing? I can't. Sorry. All right, modern construction techs. That's what we should be doing. And let's check the event. Diplomatic crisis. Oh, of course. Organized Dente at our expense. We don't have the money for it. We're just going to have to deal with it. Ooh, tension grows. Okay. So I believe as we go here... Yes, American embargo. So now we're losing one income and 0.5 agents. So that's compounding our problems there. I thought I stopped supporting the reformers. Okay. Well, guys, I hate to say this, but this may be the last episode in the playthrough series. This was my attempt to be somewhat of a moderate character. Although apparently I haven't been that moderate. I mean, oh, more diplomatic crisis. Beautiful. So I have the choice of not caring at all again. Let's see what happens. The tension grows. Okay. Party hates my guts. Yeah, we'll see what's happening here. We made it to 1981. People love me, man. Look at that. Jeez. Yeah. Folks, we're in the spiral. Okay, so now we got to make some cuts. That's giving me nothing, so I'm going to go ahead and go crazy with that. Oh, corruption. There we go. Out of control. So we're going to slash it. Look at gold reserve is gone. Yep, we're going down, guys. Okay. Push the falling man. How apt. Comrade Chairman, Urgent news from the SFRY. In the Socialist Autonomous Province of Kosovo, mass riots of the Albanian population began, according to our data, organized by the Albanian Special Service. Yeah. Protesters attack administrative buildings, police stations, and garrisons of the Yugoslav People's Army. Anti-Serb pogroms begin. The leadership of the province and the Union of Communists of Kosovo do not offer serious resistance to the rebels de facto supporting them. An urgent meeting of the SFRY Presidium was held in Belgrade, which decided on a forceful suppression of the, quote, counter-revolutionary separatist rebellion. After the death of Tito, the situation in Yugoslavia began to deteriorate. It seems that the monster of the Versailles Treaty began to collapse. So maybe it makes sense to push him even more into the abyss. Alright. So, we've got some Albanian ethnic riots in Kosovo. And remember, we didn't sign that friendship agreement with Yugoslavia. Alright. Wow, that's kind of... Well, we can't, though. We don't have the... Well, maybe we'll just go negative. Let's back up our ally. Unfortunately, they refused our help, citing the weakness of our agents in Southern Europe. The rebellion was quickly suppressed. Ay, ay, ay. Well, ain't that nice. All for naught. See, if you go, we're still tight with the Albanians. Got our Pakistanis. And we got our Albanians sticking with us, thick and thin. Meanwhile, we're going to drop some weapons over here. We're going to not drop them, we're going to give them to them. And we're going to do some humanitarian aid, which I didn't do anything. I don't even know if that reflected. Let's take a look at our political situation. Jeez. Handcuffed. Can't do anything. Wow, that's frustrating. And we're waiting for a diplomatic crisis any moment. But before that, we have an economic crisis. Agriculture starting to fall apart. Not fall apart, but go down. State debt still going down. That's good. Corruption, 43. Out of control. And boom. Party hates our guts. At this point, let's see. This is totally contrary to what I'm... Well, I don't even have the money to do it. Let's see. For propaganda. You know, let's do that. Maybe balance things out a bit. You know, I'm wondering if propaganda has an influence on corruption. Oh man, it's through the roof. Everybody's grabbing what they can before they get out. Taking a hit with the party every time we do that. Oh, here we go. Here come the knives. Yep, we are most definitely in the spiral. Okay. So, this is where things stand. Ding Xiaoping. I've got it stacked with moderates. That's pretty good. Well, a lone left radical reformer. Well, there's a left radical there. You know, let me see here. I don't think it's going to benefit us too much. It's probably not going to make a difference. And slashing more funding. Okay. Wait, let's check. Oh, 50. Wow. Okay. And Eternal President. So this is in relation to the first presidential elections in the Philippines. This is Ferdinand Marcos. The time of his presidency was characterized by rampant corruption, nepotism, and violation of human rights, which caused a sharp increase in opposition activism, one of the cores of which was Maoist Communist Party of the Philippines and the National Democratic Movement formed by it, which have long been campaigning and conducting guerrilla war against the Marcos regime. However, effective economic reforms based on state regulation of the economy, suppression of the opposition through martial law, and U.S. support are likely to bring him victory in the upcoming elections. So, our focus here, the options, well, we have no options. It's none of our business. Just something to put on the shelf for another playthrough. But we're at the point, guys, in the game where I don't think the spiral is going to stop. So if this thing yeah, we're just going to be going from crisis to crisis. So, and look, now I got a dead dude. I got an empty position. No, so at this point, I don't. I think the game isn't salvageable. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop it. But I do want to say that this is the end of the first playthrough series for China Mao's Legacy here on Political Simulators Unite. Now, I do expect to be doing another playthrough series, which will probably start up in a couple weeks. And you guys obviously subscribe to the channel to be notified of that. I'm over 100 subscribers now, which is totally unexpected from my when I first started doing this. I didn't expect to hit 100 this quickly, but thank you guys for doing that. I really do appreciate it. And we'll be doing some streaming eventually, and so I've already got a Twitch account set up and everything. I'll let you guys know when that goes live. In addition to that, well, there's so much in the works right now. I mean, there's several games I'll be releasing videos for here coming up shortly. There's a lot of awesome titles coming up. And anyways, I don't want to make the rest of this video just a bunch of housekeeping stuff. But anyways, like I said, thank you guys for watching, and look forward to talking to you guys in the future.